It's Friday, August 15th, 2025. Welcome to episode 167 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, Alameda PD makes a wish come true and warns of a growing scam. The Electrify Expo returns, blueberries, birds, and blue moons. The Hornet prepares to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, plus events to feed body, mind, and spirit. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Our top story: the Alameda Police Department was able to make a wish come true for a local child. Partnering with the Make-A-Wish Foundation last weekend, APD turned a simple princess party into a grand-scale event as a caravan of patrol cars, proudly serving as Princess Security, escorted real-life princesses to the celebration, which was filled with sing-alongs, dancing, and a very special story time. What made that story special? The princesses read from a custom storybook that ended with a major surprise: a trip to Disneyland. The child's mother expressed her gratitude to APD, saying, quote, "Thank you for your support in helping make our daughter's wish come true and celebrating with her," end quote. APD's response, quote, "We couldn't be happier to be there. Thank you for having us along for the ride," end quote. Story and pictures at alamedapost.com/news. APD has also been busy advising residents about a national scam that continues to make its presence felt. Last Thursday, APD issued a scam advisory about a growing extortion scam that often begins with scammers reaching out to victims through social media or dating apps. The scammers will then try to move the interaction to a seemingly more private platform such as text messaging. You might guess what happens next. The scammer will request intimate, explicit images. Once they have them, the scammer demands money in exchange for keeping the content private. As APD noted, quote, "To increase pressure, they may send screenshots of the victim's follower list as a scare tactic," end quote. APD also noted that this scam can affect anyone, although teens and young adults are especially at risk. APD offers some common sense guidelines to avoid these types of scams. Never share explicit images online or through text messages. Be cautious of anyone pushing to move conversations to different platforms. Limit who can see your post and restrict messages from unknown parties. Block and report suspicious accounts. And if targeted, never pay the scammer and report the incident to APD immediately. For parents and caregivers, it's important to keep the lines of communication open so those in your care know they have a safe place to turn if they find themselves in this situation. As a side note, risque photographs have been around since shortly after we invented photography, and more than one package of Polaroid film was definitely used for private purposes back in the day. But in the past, the wrong hands might mean a dozen people. Now it's a worldwide audience. So it's a discussion that needs to be had. Story at alamedapost.com/news. Billed as North America's largest electric mobility festival, Electrify Expo is returning to Alameda and the Bay Area on Saturday, August 23rd and Sunday, August 24th. For the third year in a row, the exposition will bring electric cars, bicycles, scooters, skateboards, and more on nearly 1 million square feet of outdoor event space at Alameda Point. The family-friendly event provides visitors the chance to check out exhibitors from popular manufacturers and to test new technologies and EVs firsthand on a closed course. It also features music, food trucks, and an exclusive zone for kids to join in on the experience. In an exclusive interview with the Alameda Post, Electrify Expo founder and CEO BJ Birtwell said, quote, "Manufacturers look at us as the 21st century version of an auto mall. It's a one-stop shop without sales pressure for people to figure out what vehicle is right for them," end quote. Despite recent uncertainty brought about by the current administration and the backlash against Tesla CEO Elon Musk, EV sales are continuing to grow, and the Bay Area already boasts the highest EV adoption rates in the nation. Pre-sales for tickets to the event have been strong. After starting in Orlando in March, the expo stopped in Phoenix in April, LA in June. The tour continues to Seattle, Chicago, and New York before finishing in Dallas in November. Ken Durr has the full story and pictures at alamedapost.com/news. The Point promises to be pretty busy that weekend. Sunday the 24th also brings the Cape and Cowl Con comic book convention to Faction Brewing from 11 until 6. We'll have more on that pop culture extravaganza this coming week. We've got a rarity for you at alamedapost.com, a super tasty food that's really good for you. It's the humble blueberry. Health and fitness coach Denise Lum guides us through the many benefits of the antioxidant-rich fruit in her latest column. Blueberries are high in fiber, which aids in digestion, so there is such a thing as eating too many. Blueberries, also a great source of potassium, as well as vitamins A, C, and K. As Popular Science magazine explains, blueberries' color does not come from pigment, but rather from a high concentration of anthocyanin. The Cleveland Clinic touts 4 health benefits of anthocyanins: lowers blood pressure, reduces risk of heart disease, prevents neurological diseases, and can slow cancer growth. Blueberries have one of the highest antioxidant capacities among fruits and are among the richest in vitamin C. They're simple to throw in yogurt, cereal, smoothies, or salad. Personally, I prefer wild Maine blueberries, which you can find frozen here in Alameda. When it comes to blueberries, smaller is better. The flavor is in the skin, not the colorless pulp in the center. So less pulp, more flavor. Learn about this natural superfood in Denise's article at alamedapost.com/health-fitness. If you've ever spent any time along the South Shore, especially at the Elsie Romer Sanctuary, you know what an incredible variety of birds call Alameda home, at least for part of the year. At times, it can be difficult to tell them apart. I mean, obviously, a pelican isn't a seagull, but what about all those little birds darting in and out of the surf? Many of those are various species of piper, or as birders sometimes call them, peeps. These birds nest to the north, then travel south in the fall. In fact, the fall migration has already begun, with western sandpipers, least sandpipers, and sanderlings already beginning to arrive. Dunlins will arrive a little later. The 4 species of peeps all mostly eat the same general type of food, invertebrates. If you'd like to know how to tell these shore birds apart, Linda Carloni of the Golden Gate Bird Alliance and the Friends of the Alameda Wildlife Reserve has prepared an excellent field guide, accompanied by the beautiful photography of Rick Lewis. Find her article at alamedapost.com/nature. On the subject of photography, despite our proximity to one of the most populous regions in the country, it is actually possible to take some impressive pictures of the moon, stars, and even the Milky Way. It requires patience, the proper conditions, and the right equipment. Don't expect to whip out your cell phone and have the results look like the Hubble telescope. Evan Gomez-Schwartz is an Alameda-based astrophotographer. Since May, he's been sharing occasional articles with us, showing how he's able to capture some stunning images of the night sky. Recently, he was photographing the moon over Ballina Bay and decided to see what he could capture despite the brilliant lunar light source. With some photo manipulation courtesy of Apple and an online astronomy tool, Evan wound up with some truly impressive images. If you're an aspiring shutterbug, you want to check in with this and Evan's previous articles, complete with technical specifications of what it takes to take that winning shot. Find the article and images at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. In today's economy, everyone's on the lookout for a deal. We've got great thrift and secondhand stores in Alameda. One of them just made it easier to find a bargain. The Mastic Senior Center Thrift Shop has added some operating hours. Previously, they were open Tuesdays and Saturdays from 10 until 2. They've now added Thursdays from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. If you have donations for the shop, drop them off Thursdays from 9 a.m. until the shop opens at 1. By the way, if you're walking by the shop on the St. Charles side, be sure to check out the new hand-painted sign on the building. A classic look, superbly executed. Mark your calendars for Saturday, August 30th. In addition to Labor Day weekend, the USS Hornet has a full day of activities scheduled to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. The all-day event runs from 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., including an opening ceremony, VIP speakers, panel discussions, lunch break, dinner, and a closing musical performance and award ceremony. Laura Fees, executive director of the USS Hornet Museum, shared the planned events. Quote, "We will be focusing on the war in the Pacific and on the cooperation between China and the United States. The Doolittle Raid, the Flying Tigers, carrier raids in the Pacific, and more. We will have special presentations, exhibits, and much more." End quote. Full details next week at alamedapost.com/news. With the kids back in school and the pace of life accelerating in general, good time to plan some outings to soothe body, mind, and soul. Amanda Laird has curated some solid suggestions in her weekly All Around Alameda column. Alameda Point hosting its very own wellness mini retreat on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Faction Brewing with We Roll Deep, your Saturday wellness retreat. Be sure to bring your roller skates to enjoy an open-air roller rink by the bay, complete with live DJ. There will also be a yoga flow, sound bath, and meditation sessions, as well as a dance floor. Saturday night, enjoy Come Home to Yourself, meditation, body scan, and sound healing at the Breathing Room, 1708 Lincoln Avenue. On Sunday, Sips Global Teas presents a Sip and Create Japanese Matcha Drinks workshop from 2 to 4 p.m. at 2215 South Shore Center, Suite B. Also on Sunday, join Sip and Script at Alameda Brewing, 1716 Park Street, for their Modern Calligraphy for Beginners class from 3:30 to 5. On Tuesday, it's Make It, a fiber arts craft circle in the family study room of the Alameda Main Library. Details at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. You can help support local news for Alameda by heading to alamedapost.com/donate. Find us on all the usual social media outlets, and don't forget, you can tell your smart device to play the Alameda Postcast podcast. I'm Scott Peeler. I'll be back next Friday with episode 168 of the Alameda Postcast.